Hi guys, how's it going? Thanks very much for looking in. So in my last video, which was quite a while ago now, I said something like, what a week. All I can say is what a month. I'm not going to go into detail about what happened, but it was just absolutely crazy. But hey, I am back, and thanks so much for all the new subscribers. Thanks so much for all the messages of support. Today is an interesting one because we have a new moon. That new moon is coming in 13 degrees and 25 minutes of Libra. So we've got moon in Libra and sun in Libra as well because we're in October. And also today Pluto goes direct, and this is great because astrology finally starts becoming a bit less crazy and a little bit easier to understand. We have had 6 planets retrograde in recent times, and we are still in the middle of a Mercury retrograde at the moment, and there's a couple of weeks to go on that one yet, but things start getting that little bit easier because Pluto is actually going to go direct today, and Pluto is a planet that has a lot to do with distractions, about sort of pressure to invest of ourselves in different things, you know, businesses, relationships, all the different ways you can actually invest yourself into the stuff that comes up in life. Now, when Pluto is retrograde, Pluto is even more like Pluto than usual Pluto is, so it's been tricky. But Pluto going direct is all about sort of being conditioned and coaxed into being making collaborations, confusion, that kind of thing gets involved. Maybe we find inner truth, maybe we find certainty, but it makes us question all that, and it really is an awkward situation when it happens like that. Now, there has been a fixed star making an aspect to this Pluto retrograde, which, by the way, started in Capricorn and is ending in Capricorn. It's just moved backwards through the sign of Capricorn. This happens for 5 months every year, by the way. This is nothing new, and so we're at the end of this Pluto retrograde. But the fixed star Terra I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm never sure. I've only seen it written down. No one's ever discussed it with me. But fixed star Terra, it kind of brings fortune, but it also brings regret, and it can bring a feeling of disgrace to things as well. So this is fortune that isn't easily won, and once you've won it, it isn't necessarily easy to enjoy either. There's a sort of cunning, mercenary nature to this, and a feeling of repulsion as well, so it can be a very difficult alignment within relationships. Now, Pluto is, as I say, stationing direct October 6th, 2021, which is today, the day I'm putting this video out, and that's going to be at 24 degrees and 18 minutes of Capricorn. So we have actually come right to the end of that. There are still 5 planets retrograde. We've got Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, and of course Mercury, all still retrograde at the moment. Let me have a look at my cheat sheet, because actually Jupiter and Saturn are going to both end their retrogrades during October, so we'll only have Uranus and Neptune excuse me, retrograde pretty much for the rest of the year. Though there is a Venus retrograde happening right at the end of, well, not quite at the end, but 19th of December this year. So we're almost into 2022 before that happens. So generally speaking, things are calming down. But when we come out of a retrograde, when we come out of a Pluto retrograde, it really does feel incredibly awkward because we're questioning what's gone on, what we've put our effort into. Was it worth it? What's happening with this relationship? What was happening with that relationship? Who knows? It's all over the place. And it's really that fixed star Terra that's involved with that. And the fact that this was a retrograde in Capricorn, where people tend to want to hang on regardless of anything. You know, Capricorn, the mountain goat, well, goats have so much tenacity. They can climb up almost a sheer face, and they can like hang on to a mountain as if they were hanging onto a wall or something. It's absolutely amazing to see. So people have tended to be trying to hang on to things, even though they might not have been entirely sure whether it was a good thing to hang on to whatever it was or not. Just leaves you feeling what hit us, really. And even though Pluto has gone direct now, as I say, Pluto, when it goes retrograde, is more like Pluto than usual. Mercury retrograde, which is, I think, the one we think about the most, and we are in one of those at the moment, it's more about kind of Mercury goes a bit out of character, really. Communication gets harder, and we have all kinds of problems around that. And by crikey, I've had a really, really tricky Mercury retrograde this time, as some of you know, but I'm not going to harp on about that. I think a lot of people have had a difficult Mercury retrograde. And Mercury retrogrades, they tend to be bad news, or at least they tend to bring bad news with them. But not all planetary retrogrades do that. I can't emphasize that enough. People tend to think that whatever planet's gone retrograde, there is going to be trouble with communication and people are going to be falling out. Not so. And through this Pluto retrograde, people might have actually been sticking to their relationships a lot more strongly. And one thing about relationships like that is people can become very, very controlling of each other, which is always a shame. But sadly, that is the dynamic of some relationships and how some relationships work. Now, if someone's been very controlling of you, my friends, or conversely, if you've had to be quite controlling of someone else, and you might have had what you thought were good reasons for that, now we're going to see some fixing. Now we're going to see some changes coming in. But generally speaking, the Pluto energy is now going to be a hell of a lot easier to deal with, and we've really only got Mercury retrograde to think about. The outer planets, of course, are still retrograde too, but the outer planets play less directly into our everyday life than Mercury retrograde. So that's really the only one we've got to focus on now. And let's just check some dates on that, actually. I've got them on my cheaty screen up here, if I can just get it to... It doesn't recognise my finger tapping it sometime. Okay, so Mercury retrograde in Libra, and of course the moon is in Libra and the sun is in Libra today, because this is new moon in Libra day as much as anything else that's going on. And we've got this Mercury retrograde all the way through until the 18th of October. Then Mercury is actually going to go direct. That's direct station. And then we have a post-shadow phase intensified right through until Friday the 22nd of October. And the post-shadow phase less intensively then carries on until the 3rd of November, which is a Wednesday. So it's quite a long thing going on, really. But as we're doing this on Wednesday the 6th, we have got about a week and a half before Mercury goes direct, and call it 2 weeks and a day before the post-shadow phase becomes less intense and everything starts settling down. So generally speaking, the trend is for things settling down, and I think we're going to have a much easier rest of October, and certainly by the time we get into November, things are going to be a hell of a lot easier. Like I say, after we get through October, there is only, Uranus and Neptune are the only things that are still retrograde at that time. And of course there's that Venus retrograde coming up in December. But Venus is a bit kinder, Venus is a bit gentler. More information on that as we get closer to it. Guys, thanks so much for watching this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thumbs up please if you have, and why not leave me a comment. We'll share the journey, and it's all about learning from each other, this channel. It's what YouTube's all about, really, but very few people talk about that. So let's share the journey. Leave me a comment. This is good. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already, please do. That way we can stay in touch, and as I get to know you guys, I can kind of aim the videos more specifically at my audience and kind of make them more interesting. But with that, friends, thanks ever so much for watching. I will see you again in a future video. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.